Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney. It looks like more and more media outlets are starting to see through Bob Iger's BS.
Yeah, I was going to say BS, yes.
We did a video yesterday talking about how Time Magazine was trying to puff him up, and now we've got The Hollywood Reporter. The massive weight of Mickey Mouse is weighing heavily on his shoulders. And this looks like George W. Bush.
Yeah, I can tell it's Iger, but yeah. It could be interchangeable.
It could be. It could be. Mickey Mouse is coming for George W. But yeah, so they're basically saying he's not invincible, that he's weak. And we know that there's definitely something going on because we're seeing all kinds of attacks on Peltz and Rizzullo. We're seeing all kinds of damage control being done to present the Disney board, the current Disney board, in the best possible light. We're seeing a ridiculous number of advertisements.
Yeah, you said there was one on our podcast.
Yeah, I checked the new episode of D-Res this morning, and they had that Ludwig von Drake proxy war ad.
Where did the one that was the mudslinging one go? Because I was trying to find it for an article, and I haven't seen it now. I think they might. I don't know. It still might be out there. I think they took it too far. But I think so. I think it kind of bit them in the butt, and now they're not pushing that, but they're back to pushing the Ludwig von Drake one. But yeah.
Oh, side note, Ninja has skin cancer. Oh my God.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's horrible. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, Hollywood Reporter is saying that his era of being invincible is over. Again, he shouldn't have come back. He should not have come back. He left on a high note. He could have left it all to Chapek and just been like, yep, it's your problem now.
And I bet all the reasons they say so are probably the same reasons we've been saying.
Probably.
I mean, if I were to bet, I bet you a lot of them are the exact same things we've been saying.
Yeah. So they're talking about how, Marvel basically imploded, Pixar imploded, Ike Perlmutter isn't real happy with Kevin Feige, because Kevin Feige was, my understanding is he was instrumental in getting Perlmutter ousted because he wanted to be the big boss. He didn't want, because he had to fight with Perlmutter, but I'm like, Perlmutter ran Marvel for years. Now he came, for those of you who don't know, he came from Toy Biz. Toy Biz bailed Marvel out in the 90s because they were going bankrupt. And he ran Marvel for a while until they sold it off to Disney. So he kind of came with it. Same with Pixar. They got John Lasseter with the deal.
Okay, so what they're talking about Perlmutter because Peltz and Trian are managing his shares. Yeah. And I guess he said he's questioning his record again, which is mirroring Perlmutter comments. Yes. But here's the thing. Perlmutter and Feige came to Disney with a plan for 10 years that ended with Endgame. All right. And then after that, Disney and company, well, it was Perlmutter up until last year, and Feige had to come up with a new game plan leading into the next, phase 4 and beyond. And what they doubled down on has all been things except for like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that have not done well, both on streaming and in theaters.
Yeah, and they're bringing up his comments he made about Marvel. And, he's like, why do I have to have a Marvel movie that's all women? Why do we need to have Marvel movies that are an all black cast? Now, I think in the case of at least the original Black Panther, he was wrong because the movie was a big hit. And critically, I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but it did pretty well critically. And then they decided to do a sequel without T'Challa, which made no damn sense.
Well, it wasn't like, that was not intentional. I mean, there was,
no. But I'm like, at that point, I would have been like,
they should have recast the character.
Probably either recast him or been like, let's
do it at all.
Let's not do it at all. Let's give closure to him in like another Avengers movie or something. What I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, even with the Marvels, it was like that was the selling point though. And that's what they basically tell the audience is like, well, just so you know, this movie's not for you. This is the all female Avengers. This is the all black Marvel movie. Don't come see it.
Well, Captain Marvel, like when they did that movie, they keep saying, oh, it did so well, But there was a couple of reasons for that. Mostly, the big reason was because everybody thought you had to see the movie to understand what's going to happen in Endgame. And people went because of that reason. There was also a lot of shenanigans going around with that movie where there was empty theaters but that were sold out and different weirdness when Disney had tons of money. And there was a lot of weirdness. I don't think it did as well as it did, legitimately. And then come to the Marvels, and then the Marvels falls off an effing cliff and probably cost them millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of hype involved. And again, you can get away with one or two shoddy products when you're on a winning streak. And that's what Marvel was on, a winning streak. Same with Pixar. Yeah, same thing. You can get away with it. But if it's like, 2 or 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 in a row that stink, then people are like, yeah, I'm not coming back. And that's what happened by the time they got around to the Marvels. It was like, yeah, we already know what we're going to get. Plus, you already, advertised that we have to have seen these Disney Plus shows that I don't give a shit about to see this movie anyway, so I don't care. I don't care. There's so much drama around. A lot of people are just like, yeah, I don't even care. So the Hollywood Reporter says Iger's been pulling out all the stops to convince Disney shareholders that the company is in the middle of a turnaround and that Peltz is a distraction.
That's what he keeps saying over there. That
Distraction.
He's the one up for replacement. That's the other rumor. He's up for replacement. And they're doubling down on this with, because Trian didn't vote for him. They withheld for him on the board. Okay, there's a difference. They don't want to replace him as CEO, but he doesn't need to be on the board too.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I think it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know the normal makeup a lot, but I always thought the board was, in most cases, at least companies I've been at, the board was separate from the CEO position.
Well, he's the CEO and he's on the board. The board decided that he got an extension for his contract. The board that'll help decide who gets to be the successor. He's on the board to have a vote in that too. And it's like, yeah, no, see, that's kind of a conflict there to me. But they didn't back him for a board seat. They're still backing him as CEO. There's a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. And he said that. But I mean, look, again, the people they're getting rid of are the least qualified people on the board. They're not getting, and they're like, oh, well, diversity. And no, they got rid of one white guy and one woman who may I think she was maybe Latina or something, but that was, what I'm saying? It wasn't like they went through and like, yeah, we're going to pick all the diverse people and get rid of that. No,
right. No, yeah,
they were
exactly.
Literally, it was colorblind. It was the least qualified people.
I think there were some other things involved about
conflict of interest.
Yeah, I think the one being really good friends, apparently his wife's friends with Iger's wife or something like that, was mentioned before. So they keep going.
Yeah, they said the end game remains uncertain. They've lined up a murderer's row of public support, including letters of support from Lauren Powell Jobs. That would be, I assume, Steve Jobs' wife. Yeah. Former Disney CEO Michael Eisner, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, but also Star Wars filmmaker George Lucas, who did not sound like himself. And they even had Josh Gad getting in there and Abigail Disney.
However, though, Nelson Peltz got support from the ISS. He got support from another group today, Egan Jones. Yeah, Egan Jones group today.
Yeah. So more people are like, yeah, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. And again, they cannot say that the people they're putting on the board don't have any Disney experience when Jay Rizzullo was literally with Disney for 30 years. Yeah,
and he can't, and he's out of touch because he was only CEO and he's mad because he didn't get the promotion. Yet they hire 2 men who quit Disney because they didn't get promotions. And one of them was a COO. And that as advisors, and that's a smart move. That's okay. But literally, it's the exact same damn thing.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
So
one's okay and one's not.
They have to be freaking out. That's the only thing I can think, because we're up to the end of it now, right? We're right up against it. It's April 3rd, I think, is the meeting. And they have to have some indication of what the votes are looking like, but they're still advertising. They're still trying to get public support. They're still trying to sway opinion. And, it seems to me like at this point, like, why, if you think you have it in the bag, why bother?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And then they're saying, he's fighting for that. And then he unleashed a barrage of announcements at the last earning call, which seemed like desperation.
They were all pulled out of their ass. I mean, the Fortnite thing was like, that was a boomer move. Taylor Swift, okay, my grandkids are listening to Taylor Swift. Let's throw some money at her. And Moana too. Oh, that was a series. Let's just cobble it together. Since we don't have another movie this year, let's cobble it together into a movie.
Yeah, because one of the top streaming movies was Moana. Yeah, I know. It was just trying to Hail Mary your past there.
This is correct. Bank of America's Jessica Ehrlich, for example, reacted to the report of all this stuff in a note titled "Bundles of Joy," writing that in a little over a year since returning to the company as CEO, Bob Iger's actions are already having an impact.
It has had an impact. Again, I want to remind you, when he returned, the stock plummeted to the lowest it's been. It stayed down. It did not go up until around the time that there was announcements that other people were going to, not just one group, 2 or 3 groups were trying to find seats on the board. Then the stock went up.
Yeah. But they're saying, hey, even though all these people are throwing support behind Iger, this is usually how the Hollywood Reporter does it. They case build. They're like, look at all these people who love Bob Iger. But wait, it says, powerful as Iger is, even he has recognized the risks of his own influence.
The risks of his own influence. Bob Iger thinks he's Disney. He thinks he's Walt.
He does think he's Walt. But Walt was creative. Walt was a dreamer. You are literally like the Borg. You just assimilate.
The collector. You just grab up everything.
Yeah, he said, being a top company that's so well known, the power of my voice is so much greater than it ever was.
Oh my God.
And sometimes than I ever expect it to be. He said in
What an
2019.
arrogant dipshit.
He said, I'm much more careful with how I use it, either when I say something or what I say or how I say it.
Wait, wow.
Because I am Bob fucking Iger.
Oh my God. I can't.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, they said most significantly for Iger, his reputation for making the right call at the right time has been punctured in Disney's ever-evolving succession process. The question was at the heart of the ISS recommendation, not to be confused with ISIS. I read it as ISIS at first. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? The ill-fated decision to name Bob Chapek CEO of Disney in 2020 was as abrupt as it appeared publicly.
Okay, I still say, I don't care what they say. I still say that was a last minute decision. Both men did not seem like there was something they knew about that was planned.
Right.
I don't know what happened. And I don't care what people say. We did this for years. Those were not the faces of 2 men who had planned this out.
No.
Bob Iger looked like someone had beat the shit out of his puppy. And then you had Chapek looking like, holy shit, a deer in the headlights. Neither one looked like they were prepared. Neither one were instilling confidence in their press conference afterwards. It seemed rushed. I don't know what happened, but something went down. I still stand by that because just from their body language and the way they behave, that is not the way 2 people who had planned this out would behave.
Yeah, they said
Something went down.
This is ISS. They said that it appears there was no structured board-mandated interview process and that the board primarily relied on Iger's judgment in making that decision. Which begs the question of why somebody who was being considered as a contender to succeed Iger hadn't been working on those relationships well before the transition.
Because I don't think it was planned.
I don't think there is a
there was a plan, but I think it happened a lot faster.
I think Bob Iger is going to stay as long as Bob Iger thinks he should be allowed to stay. I think that was the plan. He knew he needed a flunky.
No, but I mean last time with Chapek.
Yeah, but I think he knew he needed somebody to take the fall for the pandemic.
He could control them.
Yes. And that's why he's freaking out, because if his job is not in danger, the board is going to have a say in who gets to be the next CEO, and he doesn't like that.
The thing about the pandemic, too, I remember, because I even said, I commented on it. I think we were doing videos on it at the time, and I said, isn't it weird that Bob Iger is supposed to not be the CEO anymore, but he's the one calling the governor, he's the one making sure he's in the chair doing all the interviews and everything else, but he wasn't CEO. Like, why can't they let Chapek do his job? And then when they finally let Chapek take over, and I guess the way it sounds, that was a board fight to get him to be allowed to even take over like he was supposed to be. It seems like Iger had like hurt feelings and a little ego hissy fit, and that kind of led to some of the issues that could have been avoided if he had stepped in and put the company over his ego. And he didn't, if those stories are true. And then we come back to this, and it's like, they're like, well, they need a better succession plan this time. I'm telling you, they might have already been planning on passing it over to Chapek, but the way that was handled, it did not seem like it was something that was decided weeks before. It seemed like it was a last minute, we're going to pull the trigger today situation. And we know that there's 4 people they're looking at inside the company for succession now. But that's why Iger still has himself on the board, because he wants to be on the board. So when he's not CEO, he's still on the board.
He still gets control.
He still gets control.
Yeah. That's his whole thing. Bob Iger is a control freak, and his control of Disney is what's killing the company ultimately. And the fact that he will not walk back bad decisions. He'll walk a decision back if he thinks he can blame Chapek for it, but like he's made some bonehead. Like they keep doubling down on Fox. I'm sorry. Fox was one of the biggest fucking stupidest decisions they ever made. Like even if they got like half the price, maybe, but $71 billion.
Yeah, well, then they said, well, it's actually 45 because they sold a bunch off, which is true. They did sell a bunch off, but they still haven't made their money back for that.
And what are they doing with Hulu? They're rolling it into Disney Plus now anyway. Eventually, they're going to have one streaming service, and none of this shit would have mattered anyway.
Anyway, I know.
You know, like you just burn that money. And they had to take out, now nobody's bringing this up. During the pandemic, they took out a bunch of loans.
And some of them wouldn't mature for like 30 years.
Yeah. So whoever is next in line might have to contend with paying those loans
I'm sure
off.
some of them have been paid, but I don't know. We don't know if all of them have been paid.
No,
You
and
just didn't hear anything else about it anymore.
we're not hearing anything about the SEC filings with a whistleblower. We're not. So, you know, we got Christine McCarthy got gone under dubious circumstances. I mean, it's possible. Some people mentioned in the comments. It is possible that what he's actually afraid of is when you get Peltz and Rizzullo, who are money guys, and they come into it, they might take a look at the books and be like,
Well, they already said they're taking a look at the book.
yeah, I'd be like, oh, hell no. What's going on here, guys? And then he might be out. So he might, I mean, I don't know. That could be because he seems like he is trying awfully, no pun intended, he's trying awfully damn hard to keep these guys off the board.
It's weird. It's just two board seats. It doesn't make sense to react the way you do and keep acting like they're replacing you. Because, yeah, I think they do want you off the board. It doesn't make sense for you to be there, honestly. But they said they aren't going to replace you as CEO yet. And even if they did in a couple of years, you're leaving anyway. So what difference does it make? And two people on the board aren't going to be able to take over the company and control the whole thing themselves. They have a say, they have a vote, but they have enough with two people to control the entire board. So what's the problem?
Yeah, there's something else he's
Well,
worried
yeah,
about.
you don't act like this. You don't put all these like weird videos out and run all the Ludwig von Drake videos on and pay out the nose to run them on all these platforms. Like, I would love to know how much you're spending on that, and then have their Vote Disney page, and then do that mudslinging video, which was really out of character for them, public facing.
Yeah, that was a bad look. I mean, that was
Behind the scenes, believe it.
Yeah.
Public facing, no. It was very out of character for them, and they're going that far, and they're trying to parade everybody they can out supporting them. Why would you try so hard for just two board seats that don't really change much? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I think
They're overreacting. The reaction's awfully strong.
I have to wonder, okay, just going down this rabbit hole, just, theoretically, if he's worried about people coming in from the outside that are going to expose some things that have gone wrong at Disney, is he worried about his legacy being tarnished? Like, if he had let
It's
things...
already tarnished, dude.
Yeah, but I'm like, is that why he came back to be like, oh, shit, I better burn the paper trail before, like, because Chapek dropped the ball. It didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Because he thinks that he is the shit. He came back because they kissed his ass and said, help us, Bob, you're our only hope. And he thought he was going to come back and everything was going to go smooth. And they were going to, hail him as the conquering hero, the returning hero. And they did it first. And we said, as soon as he came back, like, bad idea, because he's the one who made decisions that led to where we're at.
Yep.
And now they're all starting to catch on. I mean, well, we have done this for years. And it's turning out like exactly what we said. He came back because he thought that he was going to be like put on a pedestal and worshipped. And then it got hard. And people start asking questions.
Yeah, and it's not just the Chapek era. Again, the ball was set in motion years before Chapek.
Chapek made mistakes. I'm not going to say he was great, but I also think he was left with a bunch of, like I said, crap rolls downhill, and Iger had turned it out a whole bunch, and it was just rolling down, and Chapek was in the path.
I have to picture him just like sitting back, watching TV, drinking a beer, pointing at the screen, be like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Because I'm sure they bought him off. I'm sure they paid him generously.
Well, I'm sure he has an NDA and he can't say much.
So he has said nothing. Like, we haven't heard.
He had the interview because he's joining another board, but he doesn't say much. He's just talking about ESPN, because I don't think he can, because they're going to have an ironclad NDA. I'm sure when that's up, we'll hear something. But until then, unless you're afraid, I don't want to go. There's always the issue that if you go out and talk shit, that later on it might influence you getting other positions. So he might not, just for that reason alone. But I don't think he's allowed to say much. I think people were leaking stuff and to the press. I mean, how much it was him leaking stuff to the press? That'd be funny.
I think it probably was, because we know
it's his friend.
Yeah, Iger has a very chummy relationship with a lot of media outlets, including Time Magazine. And he totally would do it. He totally would, if it would make him look like a hero. I mean, he would burn Bob Chapek down to save his own ass and save his legacy. But that's what's on the line, basically.
Make sure you go take a long shower, Bob.
That's his legacy. But yeah, so he said, I've tried hard to conduct my own post-mortem just so that we as a company don't do that again. And they said, what's the company going to look like post Iger? And next week we'll possibly find out. The fact that they're saying that, tells me that
more and more really influential investment companies, people investing have come out and sided with Peltz. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't have a prediction. I mean, really.
I don't know.
I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly don't. I mean, I hope we get new people on the board, but I don't know because Disney will do Disney something and pull something out of the rear and then somehow manage to save it. Then nothing will change. They'll put the presentation on as if they're changing. I think it'll be more forthcoming with succession plans because they weren't saying anything, which is one of the reasons people are supporting Peltz. If they had been more forthcoming, that might have been helpful to them, but it's too little too late at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
We will see. So there we go, guys. Next week is D-Day, but don't hold your breath one way or the other because, again, it's totally up in the air. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.